Hello, everybody, and welcome to another interview session by the JCI European Senate format. Let's talk business. Tonight, we have our guest, Ronald, who is extremely interesting personality and professional and very active JCI member. He's senator from JCI Portugal, but he's originally from Belgium. He has spent more than 30 years being engaged in Portugal in various things, and now he'll be telling us more about it. My name is Temel Kudechev. I'm from JCI Bulgaria, and I'm
And
here with,
my name is Kaya Silarai. I'm from JCA Latvia.
and we go ahead now with our guest Ronald, as I already introduced. So, Ronald, please tell us briefly at the beginning a little bit about how you end up in Portugal.
How I go to Portugal? It's a long story, of course. And let's start first. I'm Ronald. I'm originally from Belgium, from Flanders, and I joined GCI somewhere in end 80s, beginning of the 19s, where I had the opportunity, after waiting a few time, to go to an introduction meeting of GCI, and that was in GCI Antwerp Linkeroever. And there my GCI story started, and I had wonderful experiences over there. But straight from the beginning, I was interested in the organization, but immediately I wanted to go a little bit more than just my chamber, my Flanders, Belgium. I saw there's opportunity here. We can go to the world, and we can go internationally. So that was always something which motivated me. And then to come back, how I got in Portugal, of course, lots of people moved to other countries. It was not so, let's say, so common in the 90s that someone just say goodbye to your country and then
Let's
move
move.
to another country. And my story, as I call it in Portugal, is not as strange as it might be and not so exclusive as it might be. I went for a holiday there, and I liked the country, and then I liked something more than in the country. I met someone, and then after some time, you make a plan, a strategy. I even convinced myself that I could professionally function in Portugal the same way as I was doing in Belgium as a sales engineer, and that's how I know. And when I'm unfortunately needed to say goodbye to GCI in Belgium in '94, I asked my national president, was what from I don't remember his name anymore at the moment, but I will for sure remember in a few time, and say, where can I got contacts from GCI Portugal? And he just answered me, that was Ronald. GCI Portugal does not exist, but maybe with your experience you can start something up. But of course, moving to another country, leaving behind your, let's say, your complete comfort zone
Yeah,
behind, and not even dominating Portuguese languages. I just studied 3 months in my car with cassettes at that time, because no CDs, that doesn't exist anymore. Computers was completely something very new at
a
that
different
time.
era in life.
Mobile phone, my first mobile phone was sometime in '92, which weighs 4 kilogram. And if you were lucky in the corner, you got just a little bit connection of it. So communication was completely different. We started in '94 when I came to Portugal. Then I had my first internet account, Google account, and so on. So everything was still starting up at that time. So communication wasn't that easy. So I needed to focus on my business. And at the meantime, getting used to the country, start having a living, and even confronted with, after 1 year when I was in Portugal, that was completely broke because nobody understood my professionalism of working, and I didn't adapt it to the Portuguese mentality at that time. So investing at that moment time in GCI didn't go further than just some international meetings, going to European conference, and so on. So when I first picked up again, I guess it was when I finished my Excel training, because I was also involved in GCI training, and I wanted to go for ETF at that time, International Trainer Follower. So I needed to, for G, my Excel. And then that was in Berlin at European Conference, where Bruce Rector was the chairman at that time. Later on, he became, of course, GCI world president. And I started building up contacts with people in GCI and so on. So I guess I spoke a little bit. You have probably already some questions.
I have a question. The first question is how did you learn about JCI? How did you find JCI?
Let's say once a day, my father came home from a professional business network or whatever event, and he said, I met someone. And he said to me, and it seems to be at that time that it was a GCI senator from GCI Terschelde, but we didn't know that. I say, when your children grow up, finish university, work the first years, then I have probably something that might interest them. And when I finished my studies of engineering and started working, I went back to my father and I asked him, can you ask this person, how do you get in touch with this? And my father asked it, and I waited, I guess, 9 months to get an invitation to go to an introduction session of the CI. And I still remember it until today. It was Antwerpen in Goovaerts. It was at the Gazette van Antwerpen in Antwerp. And I think it was more or less 27 at that time. Probably 26, something like that, 26, 27. Let me check. Yes, something like that. Must be like that. No, a little bit earlier. But okay, it's not important.
25.
And they asked me to introduce me. And I couldn't express one word. I was so nervous. So this was my first experience in public speaking. And at that time, I took already a decision. I want to learn to speak in public, not for 2 people, not for 20 people, but for 50, for 100, for 500, whatever. And that's why I decided to go in training in GCI, because this is something what you learn in there. And then you have the opportunities to meet lots of people and you grow fast. And then I came there. I say, wow, this is great. Fantastic group, fantastic friends. I met immediately there. I say, Ronald, okay, next week we have a meeting and you will be president of a commission. If you're in at that time. No idea. Don't worry. We will support you. But, and then during that 6 months trial period you had, because in Belgium you have to prove during 6 months that you are worth to become a real member. That means you have to invest time, you have to bring great ideas, you have to work in it, you have to engage people and produce results. I don't know if it was a clear answer, Katja, to your question?
Not really, but yes, you are not getting...
No, but was it a clear answer on your question?
Yes.
How I get involved?
That yes, your answer.
So I was dropped in it, as you can understand.
This is very, very moving kind of answer, because like I feel how you are remembering as it was yesterday the things that really took you away from what happened with JCI. So to fast forward a little bit more, I mean, when you are already in Portugal, you have arranged your life, personal, professional, whatever. How easy was it to organize JCI Portugal to start moving? I mean, you already have seen the JCI infrastructure in Belgium, but did you manage to kind of copy paste the structure in Portugal, or you needed to do something out of the box?
I don't believe in out of the box. I am more like in favor of non-box. So you have things and you have to start weaving things and so on. So all what I learned and all what worked in Belgium did not work in Portugal. Because you have to organize introduction sessions and so on. So we did a lot of things, but it was the biggest challenge was to convince Portuguese people, and you still see this today when I speak today with the national president and I see who are members in Portugal, most of them came from abroad because it's not so evident for Portuguese to invest time and not have an immediate return in whatever, especially in money.
Yeah.
This was not, and you can ask Philip Carrera because this was already the second session, but when I in the beginning spoke with Kim Castellano and we organized some meetings and gathered some people together and say, okay, Ronald, that's great, but what do we get in return? I say, you don't get in return shortly anything. You can learn lots of things internationally. We brought people to European conferences. They went with me together to European conference to get the spirit, even to the European Academy in Sweden. A very good friend from me who was to be together at the European conference in Monte Carlo. And Monaco said, "What is great, but what do we get? We want to invest a lot of time, invest a lot of money, and for what? For them to say we have GCI Portugal." And this was really a very big challenge. And at that time, we already a little bit more ahead. And then we had also, then I thought probably because Portugal, I have to ask support of GCI Brazil. So I went a few times to Brazil for my international graduate certification. I needed to train 30 hours. So I went to national conference in Brazil. I went to several local chapters in Brazil. I even became member of GCI Cascavel. And but this was not workable. And then we went to the Area C conference, which was in Santo Domingos say it, República Dominicana.
Yeah.
And then Fernando Sanchez was at that time not yet national president. Lars was there. Lars Haslund was at that moment the executive vice president for Area C. So we spoke all together and say, Ronald, probably it is not the best clever decision because you are in Europe. You want to create some national organization in Europe, and you ask support from GCI Brazil. Because together with GCI Brazil, we organized a big seminar. We invited Jefferson Machado, which has also been national president in Brazil, for the speech in Ritz Hotel in Lisbon. There were lots of people. It was a great talk, but at the end, nothing started moving on. And then
after the event, you have the event. There is a motivation, but after that,
and then after the Area C conference, where I spoke with Fernando and Lars and so on, and with Jefferson, and they say probably you have to ask help from GCI Catalonia. Then we went a few times to the national conference in Catalonia. We create good contacts there, also with Salvi, Balie, who has also become a world president and so on. But even in Spain, it's considered a different piece of Spain. I know Catalonia very well. I understand Catalan. També parla catalán. And Spanish for me is the same, but even in Spain, it's a hard discussion. So all this, there was a lot of try, a lot of shoot and see what's happening, and nothing happened. Because
how many years?
Sorry?
How many years that continued?
I'm talking now since 98, 99. Almost 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
We also had contact with the Wirtschaftsunion in Deutschland, when Franz Preiss was responsible for the growth development in Europe. We met to see him at his place because he's close to Frankfurt, and at that time I traveled several times to Frankfurt, and some friends came several times here to help and support us, together with the group they had in Lisbon, with Martin Stadler, but really, and then with the Dutch Chamber of Commerce, and so on. And then we started to have a small group with Peter Eisenman, which is originally from the Netherlands, but lives a long time already in Portugal. Then through Ange and Philippe Carrera came on, Paul Vega, Pedro das Neves, Sonia Bruchado. And then we started to have a small group at a certain moment, and I met then at my time Susanna Mendes, who has been national president too for GCI Portugal, and she was together with Philippe in Korea was it Korea or Antalya? I think in Antalya we got full of affiliation at that time. We spoke about 2003. So then we had a small group, like 10, 15 people, everyone invested, so we're going to pay the fees, everyone pays everything. 5 inscription fees. We have names, but the people are not active, and we founded officially, starting to be provisional and then full affiliated. We started to work, and then things flowed up a few years. We organized the European Presidents meeting in Cascais when Paul Vega was national president of GCI Portugal, and so on. So, but it was continuously investing and supporting, and you couldn't take things for granted, because what was working today, tomorrow doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So, and then at that time when GCI Portugal was founded, I reached the age of 40. So the only thing they could do is to name me senator.
And that's not a small thing to appreciate and have, actually. So yeah, it's amazing.
Okay,
Kaya, you have I think you have a question.
But
yes.
Anyway, I had GCI gave me opportunities to meet a lot of people abroad, because this was the story of initiating and trying to found a national chamber. And the other way, my path as a GCI trainer, international graduate. Then for my ETF certification, I went 2 times to Russian Leadership Academy, which I led there, and there I wrote my let's say my training trainer syllabus on extremely different outdoor experience training and so on. I have opportunity through by intermediate of GCI Turkey to go to the Leadership Academy in Turkey to be a trainer there. In Brazil, I went several times. I went training in GCI Norway as a trainer. I had a fantastic experience straight at the beginning when I wasn't a member in Belgium anymore, but also not a member anymore in Portugal, but through Gunther Meyer, who was responsible for training at that time, and also from GCI Brazil, to deliver Prime together with him at the World Conference in Cannes, and so on. So
a meaningful JCI career. But to go back to the question of Kaya.
Yes, because it's and I believe that you can keep on going with stories, and your JCI time till those 40, when you got that honor of senatorship, that was very, very active. And how did you manage your professional life as a sales engineer? Or you had something else? With JCI, you were busy with challenging, active time in JCI.
In Belgium, yes. But in Belgium, I think I had a great opportunity, because I had a boss, which was one of my best mentors I had professionally, Goovaerts, who had a completely different vision. At that time, I'm speaking in the 90s, late 80s, 90s, he wasn't interested of how many hours I was working. He was only interested in my results. Mm-hmm. So it was already Tim Ferriss at that time. If I worked 4 hours in a week and the results were there, I was completely free. I worked already at that time from home, because my office was 120 kilometers from where I worked. And I came once in a week there, and nobody found this strange. At that time, that was really a great opportunity, and I learned a lot from him. And then when I started working in Portugal, it didn't work like this. So of course, I needed to quit my job as a sales engineer, and then you are there. And then I went to the market, professional market, and I asked them, we cannot afford what you are worth. I said, I don't care, but I want a job. So I became an entrepreneur straight from that time by necessity, because nobody saw a possibility of paying Ronald.
Really?
Yeah,
In Portugal,
that's right.
you were left unemployed if you had to be with your profession at that time?
Yes, I had even a quite a big struggle because I had some financial reserves when I came to Portugal, of course. But this goes quick when you don't have a job.
No, no,
So then
this goes down the
then I
drain.
started,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's
But then I started the business. So I started up a commercial agency of products from Dutch, German suppliers in decoration, and I started introducing them in the first in the Portuguese market. And I said Portugal is very small, have to go to Spain because Portugal is 9 million,
yeah,
Spain is 40 million, then we have 50 million, then I can do something.
yeah.
So then I started actually working a lot in Spain too, and so on. And I control my own time. So when I say, and I still do it today. Huh? I
So
still do this
the company
today,
still continues to operate.
but now I'm doing something else. I'm not now because we had a huge crisis in Europe, as you know.
Yeah.
So once again, I went completely bankrupt because my customers they almost left me paying more than 200K, which is quite a lot of money
It is a lot.
at
Yeah, of
that
course.
at
It's
that time. But that's what I told you in the beginning too. This is it's hard when you lose something, but I have a very good friend from GCI Turkey, which has been a good mentor for me. It is Sua Tarman. You probably know him, Sua Tarman,
yeah.
also GCI senator. I call him Starman, S and then Tarman Starman. So we met when I met the first time when I was he invited me for the GCI Leadership Academy in Istanbul.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling a story about going bankrupt. He said, Ronald, how many times did you go bankrupt in your life? I said, just once. Wait, go more. You learn more. You get more resilience muscles when you do it. And what's happening is you get above quicker because you already know what did not work,
You
and
will
you
never
start
repeat.
focusing on things that works.
Yeah.
So this is something because I'm quite risk taker, business type,
Well, I mean,
and
considering the fact that you moved from Belgium to Portugal in the environment and the age we're in and how it all happened, but what you have just told us, you are a risk taker. I mean, Kaya will second that for sure. But
Of
yeah.
course.
yeah, and
And it's strange that you taught me that because a few month ago, I was in Belgium with a friend from 30 years ago when I was in Belgium. I said, Ronald, you are now almost 30 years in Portugal, uh, and you still sometimes have difficulties financially and so on. But yeah, I said to him, but you have no idea how what stories and I things I made. I have a life to tell to people.
yeah,
Yeah, but if you would have stayed in Belgium, you said probably would have been the director at that time. I was a director of the function of my company at the age of 30. So, but be a big director and have financially no problems anymore, and your life would be fantastic and so on. Okay, but at the end of my life, what would I say? And I had something straight from the beginning, and it's a French song from Patrick Bruel, and it's called Les Places des Jeunes Gens. And it's about a group of people when they finish university, they make an agreement that after 20, 25 years,
Yeah.
they will meet each other on a place in Paris and tell their story.
What happened? Like,
And
what happened
what
for
he
those
says
25
there,
years?
yeah. And what he stays there, il ne faut pas avoir peur de ne pas raconter l'histoire des autres. C'est,
We need to
what it
translate that.
means is, this might be that you will all tell the same story of your life. You get married, you got kids, you got a great job, and that's it.
Yeah.
And no Jews. So I decided at that time, my story will be a little bit different than others. How different? Okay, this is everything has to do with amplitude. No?
Yeah.
And it's the same. My vision is, I love the sea, I love the ocean, but the majority, and I say there are only two choices that you can take in life. Or you choose for the flat sea, which is nice, predictable, no danger, fantastic. Or you choose for the stormy sea, like today, it's a very stormy day and so on. So then you have your highways.
Yeah.
And
That
up and
shake
down.
you. That shake you
Up
a
and
little
down.
more.
But as an engineer, mathematics are the same. That means high wave doesn't stay there because the average is this.
Yeah.
So when you want to be there, you have to accept that sometime you will be there. Here, very low, because the average is the same.
You
And
just
most people panic.
So if we can summarize, you basically leveraged up your average. You leveled up your leverage.
But it means I have to accept sometimes deep depths.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah. I totally get it.
Because you cannot change it.
Yeah. You have now family and kids, right? For the sorry. For like you have family and kids right now?
Sorry?
You have family and kids?
I have now the kids. My wife, Susanna, left me last year. So we were 20 years together. And then she said, the love is gone. And we had a fantastic life together. We raised great kids. Neski is 19, Isaac is 17 now. And in a few years, they will just kick ass dad and go for their life. And that must be like this.
So you also had the other average. That's why I asked you this question. Because you mentioned what the young boys meeting again in Paris after 25 years will be asking is like degree, job, marriage, kids. You also had that one. You didn't miss it.
Yeah.
That was my point. Like you also had this and above it.
But that's what I came above because you spoke about you have been the last years. That means since I started to have let's say, and when GCI we created GCI, and then we gave the child to other people to take care of, and then we started to take care of our babies.
Yeah.
Because Ines went to, I think Susanna, when she was incoming national president in a European conference in Maastricht, our daughter was also on stage there. And I was taking care of our boy at the World Conference in Vienna, of Isaac, who was just born. So yeah. I was just babysitting. And of
the
course,
diapers and everything. Yeah.
PCI members and so on. So they were straight from the beginning. Then when we gave birth to GCI Portugal, we gave it to other people and say, no, we have to take care of our own family. That's why the last years we haven't been so very active anymore. And probably now I will support once again because I understand now that there is once again a good, let's say, a current very good team now who is working hard to bring once again GCI Portugal to the level where it should be. The Simone Franke and her team is doing a very great job. So I'm thinking of supporting her more and more. This was also my motivation here to talk once again as a GCI senator and share a little bit my story because a lot of people don't know this.
That's why we do the interview. Exactly the purpose. Kaya, final questions by you, please.
So you just said that your both kids are already involved since their birth
Yeah,
into
yeah. We even had the T-shirt with my dad
your
and my mom.
eldest is 19 years old. Is so your kids also will go to
I'm now stimulating.
JCI?
Yeah, I'm now stimulating my daughter to,
Will
but she's 19. She's 19. She is at university. She still needs to come to start her life. But I'm also, because now when there is an active team in Portugal, once again working together and so on, it's a great experience for her because she know all this. She know what her parents, what Susanna and myself, how much we invested. I forgot the World Congress in Vegas, which was also a fantastic experience where I met and first participated great Stephen Covey, which is one of the people
I was there.
I admire. I forgot to mention Galina Muskitriva of GCI Russia and GCI UFA, who gave me the opportunity to go to Russia for the Leadership Academy to train there. And my first experience of training simultaneously in two language, because I was explaining in English and I had a translator in Russian. So this was quite a very nice experience of this. So I forgot to mention lots of people. GCI Brazil, lots of good friends we have there, and all the most of the world presidents, which gave us all the support, the growth directors, the executive directors for vice presidents for Europe and so on. I have very good memories of GCI.
We can feel the spark. We can feel the spark. Honestly, like just
and
for the
very
record.
good memory of names.
Kaya
it's amazing.
Kaya took it like for the record.
Like yesterday.
Whoever is watching
like
this
yesterday, I still see this. Wait, when I remember that moment in Berlin when I wasn't anyone. I was just someone from GCI Portugal, living in Portugal, an ex-member of GCI Belgium, when I had 2 minutes or something to speak before, at that time, all the European presidents at the European presidents meeting before the meeting, because I was at Excel at that time, so it was already some days before the European conference there. And to speak and tell me something, this is someone who is doing something in Portugal. So I still remember that Bruce Rector gave me this opportunity that time. And
just for the record, I wanted to say to everybody who is watching this interview, like, I mean, I haven't met you since like 30 minutes ago. I believe the same stands for Kaya. And honestly, like, I'm really happy that me and Kaya have this opportunity to talk to you and feel your energy after that. And as she said, like, you still remember the names. As like, I cannot repeat the names of all the people I met last year with the same intensity that you can do for the people you met 20 years ago in Brazil. And that's admirable. And I believe like this will be one of the greatest episodes of this series, I believe, because this is really huge story. And yeah, I'm really happy I could have spoken to you. It's really amazing.
Thank you.
I would just add something business-like. This is very important in business. When you meet someone and you might think this is very important person in my life, you have to do everything to remember her of his name.
Yep.
And I learned to do this through NLP.
So you trained yourself for that?
Yeah.
He is he's professional at that.
And especially you remember people say you have to think what clothes they wear or something like that. I look for different things. I look for characteristics. I look how people speak, how people look, and these kind of things. And especially the energy they transmit. You know, I'm a biochemical engineer, and now I call myself a specialist in human alchemy, which is communication, negotiation, or whatever it is. But when we really want to create contact with someone, we have to catch their energy. And when we catch their energy, it's much more easier. And then you can just fix in your brain through these some place where you keep the energy and the name. And
It's done.
Almost every month it happens. I meet someone, hey, I know the guy, and then sometimes it takes a little bit time to remind it, but I get there, because for me it's very important to name people by name.
Yeah.
And because just sir or whatever doesn't work like this.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It's just not easy for the majority of people.
And when there's a story around, then it's great. And because through NLP, I started doing what Anthony Robbins did, letting people walk on fire. And at the GCI Leadership Academy in Russia, I just put 50 people. Even Philip Carrera was there the first time. He was responsible for the first level of the Leadership Academy. I was responsible for the advanced. And he said, Ronald, I will not walk. I say, you will walk. And all of them walk over the fire. And everything went fantastically. But you have to prepare to say, it's not possible. It is possible.
Yes, it is. It is possible. And you're the real example of that. I mean, yeah. I mean, you are here 30 years after almost. So, yeah, it is possible. Thank you very much, Ronald.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we will be seeing each other in the next interview session. Stay tuned to see who will be our guest. Thank you. Bye-bye.